I love the belly off part.
Was belly off?
Dude,
Okay.
you pushed it too far with TikTok.
Okay. To test the limits.
You went too far. I need my safe word.
This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Tuesday, T-Boy Tuesday, March 7th, and today's pod is the best one yet.
Wow, it is good to be here, Nick.
What a show, Jack. Can we jump right into this thing? What is our first story for the pod?
For our first story, Chili's, the chain restaurant, has created the most efficient workplace in America.
Chili's secret isn't the ribs, it's their saucy shrimp strategy.
For our second story, Norfolk Southern Railroad has had count them, 3 disastrous train derailments already this year.
Because railroads aren't pros before co's, they're pros before everything.
And our third and final story is Ferrari. Ferrari stock has surged 50% in the last 6 months.
Because Ferrari and bank robbers have one thing in common. And what is that, Jack?
They know where the money is.
They know where the money is.
But Yetis, before we hit that fantastic mix.
Fantastic mix for a T-Boy Tuesday. Just a lovely mix, Jack.
I know, Nick. It's a great mix. A couple months ago, Yetis, we confirmed that booze had overtaken beer as the #1 alcohol in America.
Like literally liquor before beer, statistically speaking.
We are becoming canned cocktail crazy as a country with spiked everything.
You used to have a beer belly, now you got a cocktail tummy.
But now the ready-to-drink cocktail combo is getting a tad crazier.
Get this, Yetis.
Sunny D, like Sunny Delight, is making a hard alcohol.
We repeat, Sunny D, which we all thought was orange juice, didn't we, Jack?
There's nothing orange juicy about it if you look at the label.
Apparently, Sunny D was just a mixer the whole time.
So Sunny D has gone from a kid's cafeteria to Kappa Kappa 6.
Its name of the new product, Sunny D Vodka Delight, and it's launching this spring.
Oh, and it's not just Sunny D that's going to the mixer bar.
Jack, what else is coming to the breakfast table these days?
Juicy Juice is getting a canned cocktail too.
Correction, Jack. Juicy Juice is getting a boxed cocktail right now.
With the little straws that you poke through the box, right?
It's like the Capri Sun of cocktails. Those straws, they get you every time.
So there's definitely a trend of non-alcoholic brands launching hard alcoholic drinks.
For example, Fresca now has an alcoholic spritz.
Mountain Dew has an alcoholic soda.
But this Sunny D vodka situation, it feels a little too PG, a little too targeted to kids.
There's a sun on the container with sunglasses. That's like...
What are those glasses hiding?
Nick, if you squint at the can, it looks like a can of vitamins, not vodka.
That is why Jack and I think a canned cocktail crackdown may be coming.
Which is extra reason for the opportunity in spiked soup.
Tomato bisque, hard seltzer, anyone?
In the meantime, Minute Maid may as well make a martini too.
Yeah, can I get a chicken noodle Negroni by now, Jack?
No, but I'll take a Pedialyte Pinot Noir, please.
1 cream of broccoli with bourbon. Let's hit our 3 stories.
Yes!
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Chili's, the Southwestern Grill, may have found the secret to business efficiency.
If managers put themselves in their workers' shoes, they can find empathetic efficiency.
They can find their own saucy shrimp solution, is what we're getting at here.
Either one.
Either way.
Empathetic efficiencies or saucy shrimp solution.
Whatever you're in the mood for, they'll serve it up. Yetis, Chili's. It is the Batman to Applebee's Wonder Woman.
Chili's. It is the home of the scalable baby back ribs with barbecue sauce.
They basically invented the flamin' fajita that gives you 3rd-degree burns. You know when they bring it over to your table and it's like you have to put on a hazmat suit? Yeah.
Yeah. They were also the first restaurant ever to combine the sangria with the margarita.
Yeah, I'm a total lightweight, but Jack and I jumped in T-Boy-style to their earnings call and they were bragging about this innovation. It's the sangria.
Now, unlike fast food restaurants, sit-down restaurant chains like Chili's have been slower to bounce back from the pandemic.
It's been hard for the Olive Gardens out there, hasn't it?
And yet, Chili's just announced 8% sales growth last quarter, returning to profitability for the first time in 5 years.
And what was the key that the CEO pointed out, Jack?
The CEO spent days each month with the line cooks looking for things in the kitchen to improve.
Little thing here, little thing there.
Looking for a bottleneck here, something that slows people down over there. Friction in the freezer, if you will.
Well, you're on a roll here, Jack. You just want to keep on whipping up analogies for us? Yetis, what Chili's CEO found is what they call operational efficiency.
But we call them empathetic efficiencies.
And it all began with a little thing called the French fry problem.
At Chili's, French fries were always served in a metal basket that sat on the plate, and the basket was lined with paper.
But here was the French fry problem. That little basket for your fries required 40 million washes every single year just for the fry basket.
And the CEO asked the busboys, they hate collecting those metal baskets and putting them through the washing machine.
The busboys voted the #1 most hated plateware at Chili's was that little French fry holder thingy.
So the CEO said, can we just get rid of the baskets and just dump the fries on the plate next to the burger instead?
Okay, after they solved the French fry problem, then Chili's noticed a situation with the nachos.
The CEO was asking around the staff, and they noticed nachos take the longest to prepare of all the appetizers.
You got to layer, you got to stack, you got to balance. You need like an engineering degree to complete a nacho situation.
It wasn't worth the squeeze, so they cut it from the menu.
They did. They still offer the cheese and the dip on the side.
But they just let the diners dip the chip instead of like arranging it all on a plate instead.
And you don't need to hire an architect to make each one of them in the kitchen.
And finally, the CEO found a shrimp solution.
The saucy shrimp solution.
He noticed that before the restaurant opened, workers arrived early to clean, peel, and bag the shrimp. It took hours.
Which led to the question, why are we doing all three of those things and why are we even bagging the shrimp in the first place?
No one really had an answer for why they do all three things to the shrimp.
And they all hated doing the bagging of the shrimp.
So they stopped bagging the shrimp, which saved the company an estimated $6 million a year in labor costs.
We repeat, that saucy shrimp solution saves Chili's $6 million a year just by fixing the shrimp.
Slammin' Sam is smiling somewhere.
And the diners never even noticed. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Chili's?
There's always a different shrimp you can peel.
Yetis, Jack and I have been talking to you a lot about how tech companies are all about efficiency these days. Like Zuckerberg, his word of the year, it's efficiency.
But Chili's is a restaurant chain, and no industry demands more efficiency than restaurants do.
So the way Jack and I see it, Chili's latest moves are a lesson on a very particular type of efficiency. Efficiency without firing people.
Chili's saved 40 million washing machine cycles a year without affecting the fries.
Chili's saved $6 million a year, but not bagging the shrimp.
They became efficient without laying anybody off.
Exactly.
Instead, they improved operations, which spared employees from their most hated tasks.
And since those employees are happier, the service, the sales, and the profits of Chili's have all improved.
Chili's has found empathetic efficiency.
Instead of firing, they found a different shrimp to peel. For our second story, the state of Ohio just suffered another train derailment by the same company.
Norfolk Southern isn't pros before cos. They're profits before everything.
They are pros before everything.
Norfolk Southern. Nick, can we be sticklers for words?
Okay, Jack and I like to get particular about words when we're researching the pods. We just got to point this out.
Norfolk Southern is a railroad company that's not based in Norfolk, Virginia. They're based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, and it's not the southern part of Norfolk Southern that's getting attention right now, is it, Jack?
It's the northern part that's getting the attention.
But nonetheless, we want to talk about the not really Norfolk, not really Southern railroad company, Norfolk Southern.
That's the company that derailed last month in East Palestine, Ohio.
Okay, Jack, what was the situation exactly?
That huge train crash that spilled tons of toxic chemicals and tainted a town that 4,700 people live in.
Which led to the wild news that just happened yesterday.
Another Norfolk Southern train just derailed in Ohio over the weekend.
Okay, now nobody was killed, and this one wasn't carrying toxic chemicals, but this is that company's second crash in 2 weeks.
Okay, one train derailment, we can call that an accident. But two in the same month, in the same state, by the same company.
Oh, wait, that's not all.
There was a third derailment in Michigan, one state over, also by Norfolk Southern.
Now we know what you're thinking, Yetis. This looks like a pattern of bad safety.
And maybe it is, but there's also absolutely a pattern of booming profits at this company.
And there's a really interesting line you can draw between the profits and the problem.
Norfolk Southern is a publicly traded train company.
Yes, it is. So we know what their numbers are.
So we know that they have 19,000 miles of rail, 41,000 freight cars, and 3,000 locomotives steaming those things forward.
In fact, Norfolk Southern is one of only like 4 train companies that control all of our train tracks here in America.
There's 2 major rail companies east of the Mississippi and 2 major rail companies west of the Mississippi.
Get this, Yetis. These rail giants, all 4 of them, have leveraged that dominance of our tracks to what kind of numbers, Jack?
These 4 companies have an incredible 40% profit margin.
Jack, we got to sprinkle more context onto Tommy the Tank Engine here.
Rails are an extremely physical business, and yet they have higher profit margins than the tech companies do.
Yeah, like if you work at Facebook, you're writing code. But if you work at a train company, you have to hammer all the livelong day with steel and wood.
And yet, in the past 20 years, these 4 industry giants have managed to double their profit margins.
Jack, you got to be quieter when you say this, because if Mark Benioff hears it, he's going to acquire Amtrak.
How on earth has this company doubled their profits in 20 years?
The answer is actually perfectly timed for our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies in the train industry?
Railroad companies aren't pros before cos. They're pros before everything.
Yetis, you have heard Jack and I rip on pros before cos, companies before. Companies that put profits before customers.
The classic example of a pros before cos company is cable TV.
Comcast, looking at you.
They offer the worst customer service and outrageous fees. They're terrible for customers, fantastic for cable TV profits.
Representative.
But Norfolk Southern shows what happens when profits come before everything.
Not just customers, profits before everything.
Norfolk Southern was able to double their profits over the past decade, even though sales were flat.
And they did it by squeezing workers so hard that they had to organize a strike this past fall.
And they did it by not installing safety detectors that might have prevented these train derailments.
So the railroad industry right now, it's showing the dark side of capitalism.
When you pursue profits before everything.
Not pros before cos, pros before everything.
And now a word from our sponsor, Robinhood.
Is there anything more stressful than a buffet? You got the chicken or the fish, the salad or the salsa?
You're paralyzed over potatoes versus pork.
Well, when you're saving for retirement, you may feel that decision fatigue too.
Which stocks or ETFs do you invest in for your IRA?
Well, with Robinhood, you can get a personalized recommended portfolio. You can pick your own stocks or ETFs, or you can do a bit of both.
You can do their recommended burrito bowl, or pick a little bit of everything.
And customizing your retirement portfolio is commission-free.
Other fees may apply. To get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBOY and get your first stock free.
Conditions apply, and recommended portfolios are not available to residents of Massachusetts.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOI.
All investments involve risk. Contributions to and withdrawals from IRAs may entail tax consequences. Robinhood does not provide tax advice.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
For our third and final story, the king picker of car stocks. Just pick the new #1 car in the car industry, and that car is Ferrari.
Tesla stock loses to Ferrari stock for the same reason bank robbers love banks.
Okay, Yetis, the biggest surprise yesterday, honestly, it wasn't the Sunny D vodka delight, and it wasn't the split pea spiked seltzer.
No, it was Morgan Stanley, which just named Ferrari the #1 automotive stock to buy on their buy list.
That is a shocker because we know that the Morgan Stanley car analyst, Adam Jonas, aka the fourth Jonas brother, is a long-time Tesla fan.
Yes, he is. But Jonas thinks that Ferrari stock is better than Tesla right now for a few reasons.
And the first of those reasons, what is it, Jack?
It's Elon.
It's Elon, yeah.
Wall Street thinks that Ferrari stock is a more stable ride than Tesla's right now.
Because the way you got to think about investors is that investors are like passengers in a car. Long term, they prefer a stable, comfy chassis.
And remember last week, Tesla's master plan part 3 we told you about?
Could I forget? It was fun whipping up that takeaway.
Investors hated the master plan part 3.
Investors really did not like it. They hated it. The stock has dropped since then.
Nick and I admire Elon's master plan to save the planet with sustainable energy.
But investors don't see how Tesla can do all those things at once, including building an electric airplane.
Yeah, they're like, can you just show us the next Tesla car? That's all we wanted to see.
On the other hand, Ferrari, they do one thing and one thing only, and it is pretty straightforward, Jack.
Ferrari builds V12 engines and sells the cars for $1 million.
Yeah, they do. Elon is trying to do like a dozen things, including fix Twitter. Oh, and he's trying to put monkey chip brains in our brains.
Investors prefer the simplicity of Ferrari's approach to Elon's ambitious approach.
But here's what Jack and I found fascinating, Yetis. The number one reason Ferrari is really getting so much love right now, the number one reason Ferrari stock is up 50% in the last 6 months.
That real true reason is bank robbers.
Excuse me, Jack?
Bank robbers.
Jack, let's turn into our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Ferrari?
Why do robbers rob banks? Because that's where the money is.
Yetis, over the weekend, Jack and I both were reading this New York Times article that was about how every company is trying to go premium right now.
Premiumization. Even Krispy Kreme just launched a high-end premium donut.
And Jack's a shareholder of Krispy Kreme. We're into the idea.
So premiumization was mentioned on 60 different earnings calls in the past few weeks.
Yeah, from Budweiser's earnings call to WD-40, every company is trying to be premium.
The reason? It's that the top 40% of Americans have done incredibly well since the pandemic began.
That's where the money is.
Those 40% of Americans are sitting on $1 trillion of extra stock, savings, and even ski condos.
That's where the money is.
And attracting that money has pushed the average price of a Ferrari to $500,000.
Because they went where the money is.
So low-end brands like WD-40 and Krispy Kreme, they see that and they want to upscale themselves to win the attention and the money of high-end Americans.
It's for the exact same reason that bank robbers say they rob banks.
Because that's where the money is.
That's where the money is. Jack, can you whip up the takeaways for us for T-Boy Tuesday?
Chili's has returned to profits thanks to some empathetic efficiency.
There is always a different shrimp to peel.
For our second story, Ohio just suffered another train derailment from Norfolk Southern.
Honestly, the dark side of capitalism is when profits come before everything.
And our third and final story is Ferrari. The stock jumped as Morgan Stanley crowned it their #1 car stock.
And it's for the same reason that bank robbers just prefer robbing banks.
That's where the money is.
That's where the money is.
That's where the money is.
That's
We're done. Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Scott Balon from lovely Encinitas, California.
There is a species of jellyfish that is essentially immortal.
We repeat, the Turritopsis dohrnii jellyfish is also known as the Immortal jellyfish for a reason.
This jellyfish is capable of reverting back to its juvenile state after having reached maturity.
Biologically speaking, this thing can live forever. Like translation, after having babies, this jellyfish can return to being a child itself.
So as long as it's not killed by a predator or dies of a disease, this jellyfish will never die.
Scientists are like looking at this jellyfish to unlock the secrets of aging because this jellyfish lives forever.
This jellyfish is the fountain of youth in a fish.
This jellyfish is basically a floating Botox shot. It's like Benjamin Button, but like 20,000 leagues under the sea. Yetis, you look fantastic today. And if you haven't yet, one of the best things that Jack and I love to see is when you drop down and give us a 5-star rating and review. We love reading these things.
When I'm rocking my second son, my new second son next week, I'm going to read him for his first words, your review of our show.
I usually text Jack in the morning. I'm like, you got to read this review. This is hilarious.
He does. He screenshots them to her.
Yeah, another person thinks your hair is fantastic, and I couldn't agree more.
Yetis, Nick and I, we'll see you tomorrow.
Jambalaya spiked seltzer.
Bisque.
And before we go, congratulations to Yeti Sam McKilrick, who just finished their first triathlon and is celebrating a birthday in Sydney, Australia.
Happy 36th birthday to Alex Baker, who's somewhere in the Philippines.
And Andrew Feinberg, the brown bear from Baltimore. Enjoy that birthday in Los Angeles.
Happy birthday to Annika Kelsicker in New York City.
And Kirsten Katie Crichton is turning 30 over in the San Juan Islands of Washington.
Happy birthday to Marku in Dallas, Texas.
And Sophie Addix is turning 29 down in Houston, Texas.
Happy birthday to Joe Neumann, who's celebrating by being bossy in Pittsburgh.
And a happy birthday to Christina Finn in Hoffman Estates, Illinois.
And John Halley is carrying one of those gigantic checks right now because he won $10,000 in a big idea competition.
John, now Jack and I are dying to know. What
What's
was
the big idea?
idea?
It's actually just little checks.
It's little checks. We need to make smaller checks.
And to anyone else who's celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.
This is Jack. I own stock of Krispy Kreme, and Nick and I both own stock of Robinhood.
And I'm just happy Jack still owns stock in Krispy Kreme.
Now, a word from our sponsor, Robinhood.
Jack and I can count a dozen movies about time travel.
That one with the time-traveling hot tub, or the one with the crazy hair guy in the car.
Well, all those are all fictional films, aren't they, Jack?
There's one real-life move that might make you okay with not having a time machine.
Yeah, saving for your retirement.
Around 60% of Americans wish they had socked away more for retirement, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research.
That's why Robinhood created the only IRA with a 1% match for eligible contributions every year.
So maybe you don't need a time machine. Limitations apply.
To get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBOY and get your first stock for free. Conditions apply.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY.
All investments involve risk. Contributions to and withdrawals from IRAs may entail tax consequences. Robinhood does not provide tax advice.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. The baby's so developed, there's no developmental concerns.
The baby's so developed at this point, it has ID. The baby's so developed. I was gonna have a glass of wine, and the baby's like, "I'm really more of a cab person. I don't really need a Sauvignon Blanc." Yeah. At that point, the baby can talk and is like, "Get me out of here." The baby was so late, it developed a sense of urgency and the ability to vocalize that.
So late.